Hello everyone, this is Ravindar Dundra and welcome back to my channel. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about class 9th CBSE Economics chapter number 3, that is poverty as challenge. So as you all know that poverty is one of the difficulty challenge faced by our country. So today we will discuss what is this poverty and how it exists in different forms, and later on we will discuss how to solve this problem of poverty. So first let us discuss about what is this poverty, or simply sometimes poverty, sometimes it is also used with the other word known as poor people, but there is a proper definition given for this poverty. So what is this poverty? So poverty means basically a situation in which an individual is not able to get basic needs such as food, cloth, shelter and safe drinking water. So it is a situation where an individual or a person who is not able to get basic needs required for living, such as food, cloth, shelter as well as this safe drinking water. Suppose if any person is not able to get these basic amenities, these basic facilities, then we can consider that person as a poor person, or you can say he is living under poverty. So which means, again, if you can see a situation in which an individual is not able to get basic needs such as food, cloth, shelter as well as this safe drinking water, and this poverty has been the most difficult challenge faced by the independent India. So as you all know, as soon as we get independence in the year 1947, the first and foremost important task of Indian government was to eradicate this poverty. As of now, at present, how many people are living under poverty is that according to the 2011 and 12 data, almost 270 million people are living under poverty. That means approximately 27 crore people are living in the poverty, which can also be said that every fourth person in India is a poor person. So that is, you can see from independence to till now, you can see the people who are living under poverty. So most of the people are living under poverty, which means that they are not getting these basic needs. So we will see the examples, two different situations how this poverty exists in the urban areas as well as in the rural areas now. Now let us discuss about the next topic, that is two typical cases of poverty. That means how poverty exists both in urban areas as well as in rural areas. So first we will start with the urban case, the story of Ram Saran, who lives in a place called near Ranchi in Jharkhand. So this Ram Saran is actually 33 years old and he works in a small factory, and where he earns 1500 rupees per month, and his family consists of 6 members, where whatever the money he earns per month is not at all sufficient to lead the family. Then the next thing is that he has to send some money to his father too. That means he has a father who is a landless person, so the father also depends upon this Ram Saran only. So he, whatever he is earning, he has to look into his family, and at the same time some money he should also send it to his father who lives in the village. Then the other thing is that Ram Saran lives in a one room rented house in the outskirts of the city. So this family consists of 6 members. All 6 members will live in a one single room which is rented in the outskirts of the city. And this Ram Saran, he has a wife who is known as this Santa Devi, who also works as a domestic worker, and you can say she earns 800 rupees per month. Then you can take the elder son who works in the tea shop, he also earns 300 per month, and daughter who is 10 years old, she takes care of her younger siblings. Then none of the children goes to the school. So here if we can take the story of this Ram Saran, he was living in a poverty or poor condition. Why? Because a family of 6 members who are living in one single room, and that too the income which is available for them is not at all sufficient. So they eat only 2 times in a day, and at the same time buying new clothes or going to school is something like a big dream for the children who are living in this family. So you can see the income of Ram Saran, 1500 by him, then his wife 800, then as well as his son 300. So total you can say somewhere around 2600 rupees per month to lead a family. It's a very big difficult task, where the family members or not able to get 2 times food properly, and at the same time their children to buy new clothes, or you can say wearing shoes is something like a luxury for them. So here from the story of Ram Saran, what we can understand is that this Ram Saran is living in a poverty situation. Why? Because if you take the income of the family, if you take the food which they are eating, and if you take the shelter where they are living, so all these conditions says that how their lifestyle is miserable, and you can say we can say that they are living under poverty. So next we will see the story about other person who lives in a rural area, then we will go into the deep about this poverty. Let us discuss about the other important case of poverty in rural areas, about the story of this Laka Singh. So Laka Singh basically is a person who lives in a small village near Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. So let us discuss about the story about his family condition and how poverty exists in the rural areas. So his family, he does not own any land, and nor his family members, and at the same time in order to meet the family requirements, in order to get the food, this Laka Singh, he has to work as a daily wage laborer in a big farmer's lands, and he would hardly get rupees 50 per his work as working as a laborer for entire day. Then sometimes instead of money he may also get wheat or dal as a wage, and his family consists of total 8 members. You can see who is living in a village with a family of 8 members earning just 50 rupees. How difficult to run this family. Then he lives in a small kacha hut. That means the house which this Laka Singh lives is something like a kacha hut, or you can say small hut, and at the same time the woman, that means the wife of Laka Singh and other women who stays in his family, they are busy in collecting the firewood to cook their food. And at the same time his father was actually a TB patient who died 2 years ago because of lack of proper medication, or you can say lack of proper health facilities. So then you can take Laka never went to school, though his village has a primary school, but he never bothered to go to school. The reason is, since the age of 10 years he started earning some money for his family to run his family, and his mother also suffers from the same disease of which his father has died, that is TB, and she also does not have proper medication or proper health care. And you can take the new clothes once in a few years. That means in order to buy new clothes for them, it happens once or twice after some years. That means maybe after every 2 to 3 years they may buy this new clothes. And even soap and oil are very luxury for this family of Laka Singh. So we have seen the story of Ram Saran, now we have seen the story of this Laka Singh. So from these stories we can extract some of the common things, that is, you can say landlessness, unemployment, helplessness, malnutrition, you can also say lack of proper health care. So all these problems can be identified commonly both in rural case, the story of Laka Singh, as well as in the story of Ram Saran. So basically having lesser money leads to all these kind of problems, or you can say having lesser income, which might lead to this poverty or a situation called poor. So by this we can understand how commonly this poverty, or you can say poor people, exist both in rural areas as well as in urban areas. As of now we have discussed about 2 different situations, urban as well as rural case. So from these 2 situations we can understand what exactly poverty is. So by how we can understand is that you can see what poverty exactly is from these 2 stories is that poverty means it is like hunger and lack of proper shelter. That means you can say people do not they were eating only 2 times in a day, but a normal person usually consumes 3 times. And at the same time lack of proper shelter, not having proper place to live, and at the same time parents are in a situation they are not able to send their children to the school. Here you can see in the both cases they are not able to send their children to the school. Then you can also say lack of clean water. You can see both of them are living in the outskirts of the villages as well as city, where they are not able to get this proper clean water also, and at the same time lack of regular job. As you can see, one person in rural areas working as an agricultural worker, maybe after some time he may not find the job, and at the same time the other person, when we discussed about the urban case, he also might not be able to find a regular job. So all these situations, facing hunger, lack of shelter, not sending their children to school, and lack of clean water and lack of regular job, can also lead to the situation of this poverty. And India's biggest challenge as of now, since independence, is to take out millions of people from the situation of poverty. You can see, just beginning I told, almost 27 crore population are living under poverty. So our biggest aim is to bring them out of this poverty. And even the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, also said that when India becomes truly independent is that only when the poorest of its people become free of human suffering. That means when India can be declared as a complete independent country is that when the poorest of the poor people, if they come out of the all human sufferings, then only we can say that India is a complete independent country, according to this Mahatma Gandhi. So we will discuss how poverty as seen by the social scientists. Let us discuss about the next topic, that is poverty as seen by social scientists. That means how social scientists measure the poverty that is existing in the country. So what are the indicators they use to measure this poverty here? One is, you can take this literacy level. That means how whether a person is educated or not educated. Then lack of general resistance due to malnutrition. That means whether the person is having the immunity power, resistance power or not. Then you can also take lack of access to healthcare. That means whether people are having access to the healthcare, whether they can meet or whether they can spend money on this and their health. And at the same time lack of job opportunities. That means whether they can afford to get a job. Then lack of access to safe drinking water, sanitation, etc., etc. So all these indicators are used by the social scientists in order to measure this poverty. But nowadays they are using two important social indicators to measure the poverty. They are, so you can see, one is this social exclusion and the other one is this vulnerability. So now we will see what exactly this social exclusion means and what exactly this vulnerability means, and how we can measure this poverty by using this social exclusion as well as vulnerability. Let us discuss about what is this social exclusion as well as this vulnerability used by the social scientists in order to measure this poverty. So first let us start with social exclusion. Social exclusion means it is a process through which individuals or groups are excluded from the facilities, benefits and opportunities that others enjoy. Which means if you take a large section of people, in that suppose a large group of people are there, in that some group of people, or you can say some individuals, are excluded. That means are removed, or you can say they are unable to enjoy the facilities, benefits, opportunities that are enjoyed by the remaining people in that particular area. We can call it as this social exclusion. That means since it is a larger area, large number of people are living, but some section of people, they are excluded from getting the benefits which are enjoyed by the people who are living in this region. Suppose some lot of people are living here and here also some people are living, but whatever the benefits they are enjoying who are living in this region, or whatever the opportunities, facilities they are enjoying, this group of people are excluded. That means they are not included to enjoy the same kind of benefits or opportunities. So the best example for this, you can take the caste system in India. Once upon a time, or even sometimes in some areas in now, you can find this caste system where some section of people, or you can say some group of people, they are excluded from the main village, or you can say main place where they are living. Suppose you take, since long time we have been practicing this untouchability from the Dalit communities, where these Dalits or the tribals are excluded from the main society. So whoever is the person, it may be Dalits or not only, it can be any person, if they are excluded from getting the opportunities which are enjoyed by the other section of people, then also they are then we can say they are socially excluded. Then the next thing is about this vulnerability. So what do you mean by this vulnerability? Means those who are in the danger zone, to who are about to become into, or who are about to come into the poverty situation. So let us see the exact definition here. So vulnerability to poverty is a measure which describes the greater probability of certain communities to becoming or remaining poor in the coming years. That means greater probability of getting into poverty or becoming the poor people in the coming years, we can call them as this vulnerable sections, or we can also call it as vulnerability. That means you can take some section of people where chances are there in future they might probably coming into the poverty line. For example, you take widows. So once their if they lost their husband, means they may be in the verge of falling into this poverty situation. And you can also take this physically handicapped situation candidates. Like this, those people who are in the edge of falling into the poverty, we can call them as this vulnerable sections or vulnerable people. And you can simply say the probability of falling into the poverty in the coming years, we can call them as this vulnerable sections. And also other examples you take, suppose those people who live in the coastal areas, who are living to the in the areas where the natural disasters are more. For example, if they are living in a coastal areas, chances of cyclones, storms, which may push them into poverty, and sometimes tsunamis, which may also push them into poverty. So like this, those section of people who are in the danger zone, who maybe fall into the poverty or in to become a poor in the upcoming years, we call them as this vulnerable sections. So these are the two indicators used by the social scientists, that is the social exclusion as well as this vulnerability, to measure the poverty in the country. So in the next lectures we will discuss how to measure this poverty, or you can say we will discuss about poverty line. Thank you.